The apartment building's hallway light flickered as it always did around 7 p.m., casting shadows that made everything look slightly menacing. Dominic Cross stood outside apartment 3B, his hand raised to knock, frozen in a moment of complete terror. Through the thin door he could hear laughter, a woman's voice and a child's bright giggle. His son's laugh, a sound he'd never heard before. He'd been standing there for 10 minutes just listening. The private investigator's report had been thorough. Olivia Grant, age 28, freelance graphic designer, single mother to Ethan Marcus Grant, age 3. The photos had shown a small boy with dark hair and serious eyes, Dominic's eyes staring back at him from glossy paper. But photos couldn't prepare him for this, for the reality of hearing his child's voice for the first time. Through the window beside the door, he could see them. Olivia sat cross-legged on the floor, her brown hair pulled into a messy bun, wearing jeans and an oversized sweater. She looked older than he remembered, tired around the eyes but still beautiful in that effortless way that had first caught his attention 4 years ago. The boy Ethan, his son, was building something with blocks, chattering constantly while Olivia smiled and nodded. Dominic's chest felt like someone had reached inside and squeezed. 3 years. He'd missed 3 years of his son's life. First words, first steps, first everything. All gone because he'd had to disappear into witness protection, because testifying against his family's criminal associates had meant erasing himself completely. He knocked before he could lose his nerve. The laughter inside stopped. Footsteps approached, and then the door opened, and Olivia Grant was standing in front of him for the first time in 3 years and 4 months. Her face went through a series of expressions in rapid succession: confusion, recognition, shock, and finally something that looked like fury. "No," she said, and tried to close the door. He caught it with his hand. "Olivia, please. Get out, leave, right now." Her voice was low, controlled, but he could hear the tremor underneath. "I need to talk to you, just 5 minutes." "You don't get 5 minutes. You don't get anything." She pushed harder on the door, but he didn't move his hand. "Mama," the small voice came from behind her. "Who's that?" Dominic's breath caught. He could see the boy now, peering around Olivia's legs with those dark, serious eyes. His son, looking at him like he was a stranger, which he was. "No one, baby. Go back to your blocks." Olivia's voice softened when she spoke to Ethan, but when she turned back to Dominic, her eyes were hard. "You have 10 seconds to leave before I call the police." "I was in witness protection," Dominic said quickly. "I testified against people who would have killed both of us if they knew about you. I left to keep you safe. I didn't know you were pregnant. I swear to God, I didn't know." Her hand on the door went slack. "What?" "Can I come in, please? I'll explain everything, and then if you want me to leave, I'll go and never come back." She stared at him for a long moment, her jaw tight. Finally, she stepped back. "5 minutes, and if I don't like what I hear, you're gone." He walked into the small apartment, taking in the details. Toys scattered in the corner, artwork taped to the walls, a laptop on the coffee table surrounded by design sketches. She built a life here. A good life from what he could see, without him. "Ethan, go play in your room for a few minutes, okay?" Olivia said gently. "But Mama..." "Please, sweetheart, I need to talk to this man." The boy looked between them with that too-knowing expression children sometimes had, then nodded and padded off down the hall. Dominic watched him go, memorizing every detail, the way he walked, the toy car clutched in his hand, the dinosaur pajamas. "Talk," Olivia said once they were alone. She stood with her arms crossed, deliberately keeping distance between them. So he told her about the FBI approaching him 4 years ago with evidence of his family's involvement in organized crime, about the choice they'd given him, cooperate or face charges himself, about the terror of those first weeks in witness protection, living under an assumed name in a city he didn't know, cut off from everything and everyone, about the trial that had just ended, finally sending the key players to prison. "The night I left," he said, his voice rough, I got a call from my handler. They'd uncovered a plot to kill me. I had hours to disappear. If I'd stayed, if they'd found out about you, he couldn't finish the sentence. So you just left. A note. I'm sorry, forget me. That was all I got. Her voice cracked slightly. Do you have any idea what that did to me? I thought it was the only way to keep you safe. Safe, she laughed, but there was no humor in it. I was pregnant and alone and terrified. I didn't feel very safe, Dominic. I know, and I'm sorry. If I could go back. But you can't. None of us can. She moved to the couch and sat down heavily, like her legs couldn't hold her anymore. Why are you here now? Why show up after 3 years? Because the trial is over. Because I'm finally free to reclaim my life. And because he pulled out his phone and showed her the private investigator's report. I found out about Ethan 3 days ago. I got back to the city and hired someone to find you to make sure you were okay. And they told me I have a son. She stared at the photos on his phone, pictures of her and Ethan at the park, at the grocery store, living their lives while being watched by strangers. You had us followed. I needed to know you were safe, that you were okay. We were fine. We've been fine without you. The words stung, but he deserved them. I can see that. You've done an incredible job with him, Olivia, but now I'm back and I want to be part of his life, part of both your lives if you'll let me. She was quiet for a long moment, her eyes fixed on some point past his shoulder. I'm engaged, she finally said. The words hit him like a physical blow. What? His name is James. He's a teacher. He's been helping me raise Ethan for the past year. She still wasn't looking at him. We're getting married in 6 months. Dominic felt something crack inside his chest. Of course she'd moved on. 3 years was a long time. She was beautiful and kind and amazing. Of course someone else had seen that, had wanted her. Do you love him? That's none of your business. Do you love him the way you loved me? Now she did look at him, and her eyes were bright with unshed tears. Don't come here after 3 years and act like you have any right to ask me that. You're right, I don't, but I'm asking anyway. Before she could answer, footsteps sounded in the hallway and Ethan reappeared, holding a toy car. Mama, I'm hungry. Olivia wiped her eyes quickly and stood. Okay, baby, let me make you something. She looked at Dominic. You should go. Can I? He swallowed hard. Can I meet him properly, just for a minute? Dominic, please, I've missed 3 years. Give me 1 minute. She looked like she wanted to refuse, but something in his expression must have convinced her. She turned to Ethan. Sweetheart, come here. I want you to meet someone. Ethan approached slowly, eyeing Dominic with curiosity but also caution. Smart kid. Who is he? Olivia's voice caught. This is Dominic. He's an old friend of mine. Dominic crouched down to the boy's level, bringing himself eye to eye with his son for the first time. Up close, the resemblance was even more striking, the same dark hair, the same serious expression, even the same small mole on his left cheek that Dominic had. Hi, Ethan. It's really nice to meet you. Hi, Ethan held up his car. Do you like cars? I love cars. What kind is that one? A race car. It's the fastest one I have. He studied Dominic's face with that intense 3-year-old focus. You have sad eyes. The observation, so innocent and accurate, nearly undid him. Yeah, buddy, I guess I do. Mama has sad eyes sometimes too, when she thinks I'm not looking. Dominic's eyes found Olivia across the room. She was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. Sometimes grown-ups get sad, he managed to say, but meeting you just made me a lot less sad. Okay, Ethan seemed satisfied with this answer. I'm hungry now, bye. And just like that, he lost interest and wandered toward the kitchen. Dominic stood slowly, his legs shaky. That was his son. His son, who didn't know him, who had no idea that the stranger with sad eyes was his father. The weight of everything he'd missed hit him all at once, and he had to grip the back of the couch to stay upright. You need to leave, Olivia said quietly, before I fall apart completely. There's more, he said. More I need to tell you about why I'm really here. I don't want to hear it. You need to hear it because it affects you and Ethan. He pulled out another document from his jacket pocket. My grandfather is dying. He has maybe 6 months left, and his will has a very specific requirement. She took the paper with trembling hands, scanning it quickly. Her face went pale. You have to be married, with an heir, or the company goes to, she looked up at him. This says it goes to a subsidiary owned by the people you testified against. Exactly. My grandfather built Cross Industries into a $2 billion empire, but he got involved with the wrong people. I testified to try to clean up the mess, but if I don't inherit, everything goes to them anyway. They'll have legitimate business to hide behind, resources to rebuild what I helped destroy. What does this have to do with me? They already know about you, about Ethan. My handler warned me, if they get the company, they'll use you as leverage against me. They'll come after my family to make sure I can never testify against them again. She sank back onto the couch. Oh my God. But if I inherit, I can use the company's resources to protect you both. Security, safe houses, legal protection, everything you need to stay safe. All I have to do is prove to my grandfather that I have a wife and an heir before he dies. You want to use us, she said slowly. You want to parade us around as your family so you can get your inheritance. I want to keep you safe. The inheritance is just the tool to do it. And you couldn't just hire bodyguards, get police protection. These people have reach, Olivia. They have connections everywhere. The only way to truly protect you is to have resources they can't match. He moved closer, kneeling in front of her. I know I'm asking the impossible. I know I have no right, but I'm asking anyway. Marry me. Let me protect you and Ethan. And when my grandfather passes and the inheritance is secure, you can divorce me and never see me again if that's what you want. You're insane. This is insane. Probably, but it's the only plan I have. She was shaking her head, tears still streaming. I'm engaged, Dominic. I'm engaged to a good man who's been here for me, who loves Ethan, who hasn't disappeared for 3 years. I know, and if there was any other way I wouldn't be asking, but there is. He took her hands in his and she didn't pull away. I love you, Olivia. I never stopped. And I will spend the rest of my life making up for leaving if you'll let me. But right now, today, I'm just asking you to trust me one more time. Let me keep you safe. Mama, Ethan's voice came from the kitchen. Can I have the cookies? Olivia pulled her hands away and stood. Just one, baby. She looked down at Dominic, still kneeling on her floor. I need time to think. I can't process this right now. How much time? I don't know, a few days. We don't have days. My grandfather wants to meet you this weekend. He stood as well. I know it's fast. I know it's too much. But the danger is real, Olivia, and it's coming whether we're ready or not. She wrapped her arms around herself, looking smaller than he remembered. I need to talk to James. I don't know what I need. Just go, Dominic, please. He wanted to argue, wanted to make her understand the urgency, but he could see she was at her breaking point, and pushing now would only drive her away. Okay, I'll go, but think about what I said, please. He was at the door when she spoke again. Did you mean it, what you said about loving me? He turned back. She was standing in the middle of her small living room, looking lost and scared and still so beautiful it hurt. Every word. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, Olivia. Leaving you was the worst. Then why did it take you 3 years to come back? Because I'm an idiot who thought staying away was protecting you. I was wrong. I'm here now and I'm not leaving again. Not unless you tell me to. She didn't respond, just stood there with tears on her face, and finally Dominic made himself walk out the door. In the hallway, he leaned against the wall and tried to catch his breath. That had gone about as badly as he'd feared. She hadn't thrown him out immediately, which was something, but she also hadn't agreed to anything. And she was engaged to someone else. Someone who'd been there for her, who'd helped raise his son, who probably deserved her more than Dominic did. He pulled out his phone and called his grandfather's private number. Vincent Cross answered on the second ring. Well, his grandfather's raspy voice demanded, "Did you see them?" "I saw them. She needs time to think." "We don't have time. I want to meet my great-grandson before I die, boy. Make it happen." "I'm trying, grandfather, but she's engaged to someone else. This is complicated." "Everything worth having is complicated. You're a Cross. We don't accept no for an answer." A coughing fit interrupted him, wet and horrible. When he spoke again, his voice was weaker. "Bring them to the estate this Sunday. Convince her however you need to. I'll handle the rest." The line went dead. Dominic stared at his phone, a sense of dread settling in his stomach. His grandfather handling things never ended well. But what choice did he have? The danger was real. The timeline was real. And whether Olivia believed him or not, he had to find a way to protect her and Ethan before it was too late. He looked back at apartment 3B one more time. Through the window, he could see Olivia in the kitchen with Ethan, helping him with his cookie. A perfect domestic scene, a life he'd thrown away and was now desperately trying to reclaim. Please, he thought, please let her say yes. Please let me fix this. But as he walked away down the flickering hallway, he couldn't shake the feeling that he'd just set something in motion that was going to end badly for everyone involved. James Chen arrived at Olivia's apartment at 9 p.m., just as he did every Friday night. He let himself in with his key, calling out a greeting, expecting to find Olivia working at her laptop while Ethan slept. Instead, he found her sitting on the couch in the dark, staring at nothing. "Liv," he flipped on the light and she flinched. "Hey, what's wrong? What happened?" She looked up at him with red-rimmed eyes. "We need to talk." Those 4 words, the ones that meant nothing good, James sat down beside her carefully. "Okay, talk." So she told him. About Dominic, the mystery man she'd never fully explained, the father of her child who'd vanished 3 years ago. About witness protection and criminal organizations and the danger that was apparently coming for her and Ethan. About the marriage proposal that wasn't really a proposal, just a business arrangement to keep them safe and secure an inheritance. James listened without interrupting, his expression getting tighter with each revelation. When she finished, he sat back and ran his hands through his hair. "This is insane." "I know. Witness protection, criminals, a forced marriage. Olivia, this sounds like something out of a movie." "I know that too." "And you believe him." Did she? She'd spent the last 2 hours asking herself the same question. "I don't know, but I saw his face when he looked at Ethan. That wasn't acting, James. That was a man seeing his son for the first time and realizing everything he'd missed." "So what are you going to do?" "I don't know." She turned to face him. "I care about you. You've been so good to me, to Ethan. You've been steady and reliable and everything I thought I needed. But you still love him," James finished quietly. "Your mystery man, Ethan's father, you still love him." "I don't know if what I feel is love or just unfinished business. It's been 3 years, James. I thought I was over him. But seeing him again—" She trailed off, not knowing how to explain the way her heart had stuttered when Dominic walked through her door, the way every carefully constructed wall had threatened to crumble. James stood and paced to the window. "I knew, that you were holding something back. That part of you was always somewhere else. I told myself it didn't matter, that what we had was good enough. But it was never all of you, was it?" "James." "No, it's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but I understand." He turned back to her. "If you're in danger, if Ethan is in danger, you have to do what's necessary to protect him. I get that. But Liv, are you sure this guy is telling the truth? That this isn't some elaborate con?" "How would I know? How can anyone know for certain?" She stood as well, moving toward him. "All I know is that Dominic was terrified tonight. Really, genuinely terrified. And he's right about one thing: Ethan deserves to know his father. Ethan has a father figure, me. I've been there for him for a year. I love that kid, Olivia. I know you do, and he loves you too. The tears were back now. But you're not his biological father, and if there's danger coming, if I need resources to protect him that I don't have, then you do what you have to do. James's voice was tight, controlled. But I need you to be honest with me. If there was no danger, no inheritance, no urgency, would you still be considering this? Would you still be thinking about marrying him? She opened her mouth to say no, to reassure James that this was purely practical, but the lie wouldn't come. I don't know, maybe. Not right away, but maybe eventually. If he proved he was serious about staying, about being a father to Ethan, maybe. James nodded slowly. Then I think we both know what you need to do. I don't want to hurt you. Too late for that. But his smile was sad rather than bitter. I knew what I was signing up for, Liv. A single mom still hung up on her ex. I thought I could make you forget him, make you love me enough that it wouldn't matter. But you can't force something like that. You're a good man, James Chen. Just not the right man. He moved to the door and she didn't try to stop him. For what it's worth, I hope it works out. I hope he's telling the truth. I hope he stays and doesn't break your heart again, because you deserve that. You deserve someone who chooses you every single time. So do you. Yeah, maybe I'll find her someday. He opened the door, then paused. Tell Ethan, tell him I'll miss him, and that he can call me anytime. I meant what I said about loving that kid. I will, thank you, James, for everything. Then he was gone, and Olivia was alone again in her apartment. She sank back onto the couch and let herself cry for James, for the life she was giving up, for the terrifying unknown she was walking into. Her phone buzzed with a text. Dominic, I know you need time, but please think about Sunday. My grandfather really wants to meet Ethan. She stared at the message for a long time before responding. Okay, Sunday, but I'm not promising anything beyond that. His reply was immediate. Thank you. I'll pick you up at 4. We'll drive ourselves. Text me the address. A pause, then, okay, whatever makes you comfortable. She set the phone down and went to check on Ethan. He was sprawled across his bed, arms flung wide, mouth slightly open. She smoothed his hair back and tried to imagine him growing up in the world Dominic came from: mansions and private investigators, and enough money to protect them from anything. But money hadn't protected Dominic from having to disappear for 3 years. Money hadn't kept him safe, and she had no guarantee that marrying him would keep them safe either. Still, as she looked at her son's peaceful face, she knew she'd do whatever it took to protect him, even if that meant marrying a man who'd broken her heart. Even if it meant walking into a world she didn't understand. Even if it meant risking everything on a promise from someone who'd already left once before. I hope I'm doing the right thing, she whispered to the darkness. Please let me be doing the right thing. But the darkness, as always, had no answers. Sunday arrived too quickly. Olivia dressed Ethan in his best clothes, khaki pants, and a button-down shirt he complained was itchy, while trying to calm her own nerves. The address Dominic had sent led to an estate an hour outside the city, the kind of place that appeared in architecture magazines with words like historic and palatial. Where are we going, Mama? Ethan asked from his car seat as they drove through increasingly wealthy neighborhoods. To meet someone, Dominic's grandfather. The man from Friday, with the sad eyes. Yes, baby, him. Is he my daddy? The question, so direct, so innocent, nearly made her swerve. She'd been dreading this conversation, but apparently 3-year-olds didn't wait for convenient timing. Yes, sweetheart, Dominic is your daddy. Oh, Ethan processed this for a moment. Why doesn't he live with us? It's complicated, grown-up stuff. Will he live with us now? I don't know yet. We're still figuring things out. I hope he does. I liked him. Ethan returned his attention to his toy car, the conversation apparently complete for him, but Olivia's hands were shaking on the steering wheel. The Cross estate was even more intimidating than she'd imagined. Iron gates, manicured grounds, a mansion that looked like it belonged in a different century. A woman in staff uniform met them at the door and led them through hallways lined with expensive art to a sitting room where two men waited. Vincent Cross looked exactly like what he was, old money and old power, even diminished by illness. He sat in a leather chair with a blanket over his lap, but his eyes were sharp and assessing. Dominic stood by the window, and the relief on his face when he saw them was palpable. "Olivia," Dominic said, moving toward them. "Thank you for coming." He knelt down to Ethan's level. "Hey, buddy, remember me?" Ethan nodded solemnly. "You're my daddy." Dominic's eyes filled with tears. Yeah, I am." He looked at Olivia with such raw emotion that she had to look away. "Well, don't just stand there," Vincent said, his voice rough but amused. "Introduce me to my great-grandson." The dinner that followed was surreal. Vincent asked questions about Olivia's work, her family, how she'd been raising Ethan. She answered carefully, aware that she was being evaluated, that every word mattered. Ethan charmed his great-grandfather by asking if the house was a castle and announcing that the fancy food was weird but okay. After dinner, Vincent requested to speak with Olivia privately. Dominic took Ethan to see the library, leaving her alone with the old man in his study. "You don't trust my grandson," Vincent said without preamble. "I can see it in your eyes. He left once. How do I know he won't leave again?" "Because he has something worth staying for now. You, the boy," Vincent coughed, a wet, horrible sound. "I don't have long, Miss Grant. Weeks, maybe a month or two if I'm lucky. And I want to see my grandson settled before I go, married, with a family. A real family, not the hollow empire I built." "So you're willing to manipulate us into a marriage to ease your conscience?" He smiled, sharp and knowing. "I like you. You have spine. Dominic needs someone with spine." The smile faded. "But yes, I'm manipulating you if that's what you want to call it. Because the danger he described is real. Those people will come for you and the boy to hurt him. And I refuse to leave this world knowing I left my family vulnerable. Why should I believe any of this? The danger, the will, any of it?" Vincent pulled out a folder and slid it across the desk. Inside were newspaper clippings about the trial, FBI documents with portions redacted, and most chillingly, surveillance photos of her and Ethan taken within the last week. "Believe it because it's true. You're already being watched, Ms. Grant. The question is whether you'll let Dominic protect you or face this alone." Her hands trembled as she looked through the photos. Ethan at daycare, her at the grocery store. Someone had been following them, documenting their lives. Oh God. "Marry my grandson. Convince me it's real so the lawyers can't contest it. And I'll make sure you have everything you need to stay safe when I'm gone." Vincent leaned forward. "I know I'm asking you to trust someone who hurt you, but sometimes the person who broke your heart is the only one who can protect it." The drive back was quiet. Ethan fell asleep within minutes, exhausted from the excitement. Olivia stared out the window, her mind racing. The surveillance photos had shaken her more than she wanted to admit. The danger was real. Vincent was dying. And Dominic. "You okay?" Dominic asked from the driver's seat. He'd insisted on following them home, saying it wasn't safe for her to drive alone at night anymore. "No, none of this is okay." "I know, but you came today, that's something. Your grandfather showed me photos of me and Ethan. Someone been watching us." His jaw tightened. "I know, that's why we need to move fast. The wedding should happen within the week." "A week?" She turned to stare at him. "Dominic, that's insane. My grandfather doesn't have more time than that. And every day we wait is another day those people have to make a move. I just broke up with James 3 days ago. I can't just. I know I'm asking the impossible, but I'm asking anyway." He glanced at her, his expression desperate. "Please, Olivia, let me keep you safe. Let me be a father to Ethan. Let me prove I'm not going anywhere this time." She thought about the surveillance photos, about Ethan's delighted face when Dominic had read to him, about the engagement ring she'd given back to James and the life she'd thought she'd have. If I do this, if we need ground rules. Anything. Separate bedrooms. This is a business arrangement, not a real marriage. Okay. And if you leave again, for any reason, I get full custody, and you never contact us again. Fair. And you tell me the truth about everything, no more secrets. Done. He pulled up to her building and turned to face her. Anything else? Don't make me regret this. Her voice cracked. Don't make me regret trusting you again. He reached out and took her hand, gentle but firm. I won't. I swear on everything I have, Olivia, I won't let you down. She wanted to believe him, desperately wanted to believe that this time would be different. Okay, we'll do it, but Dominic, if you hurt my son, if you break his heart, I will never forgive you. I know I wouldn't forgive me either. He squeezed her hand. Thank you for giving me this chance. I know I don't deserve it. No, you don't, but Ethan deserves a father, so don't screw this up. The wedding was planned with terrifying efficiency. Vincent's event planner descended with fabric swatches and vendor lists. Olivia's mother flew in from Florida, full of questions Olivia couldn't honestly answer. Friends appeared, excited about the whirlwind romance, unaware it was anything but romantic. The night before the wedding, Olivia stood in her apartment, soon to be her former apartment, surrounded by half-packed boxes. Tomorrow she'd become Mrs. Dominic Cross. Tomorrow she'd move into the estate. Tomorrow everything would change. Her phone rang. Dominic. Hey, she answered. Hey, just wanted to check on you, see if you're panicking yet. I've been panicking for days. He laughed softly. Me too, but Olivia, I meant what I said. Every promise I made, I'm all in. We'll see. We will get some sleep. Big day tomorrow. After they hung up, she went to check on Ethan. He was already asleep, clutching the toy car Dominic had given him. She smoothed his hair and whispered, "Here goes nothing, baby. Here goes everything." The wedding day dawned clear and beautiful. Olivia put on the ivory dress, let strangers do her hair and makeup, and tried not to think about how wrong this all felt. Not wrong because she didn't want it, but wrong because she wanted it too much. Wanted to believe in fairy tales and second chances and love that survived everything. She walked down the aisle in Vincent's garden with Ethan holding her hand. The boy had insisted on being part of the ceremony, wanting to help Mama marry Daddy. When they reached Dominic, waiting under an arch of white roses, Ethan announced loudly, "We're a family now, right?" "Right, buddy," Dominic said, his voice thick with emotion. "We're a family now." The ceremony was simple, traditional vows spoken to an audience of people who thought this was a love story. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Dominic hesitated, giving her a choice. She closed the distance and kissed him, a soft, brief kiss that somehow felt like both an ending and a beginning. The reception was in full swing, champagne flowing and guests congratulating them, when everything went wrong. The first gunshot shattered a window. The second hit a waiter. Then chaos, screaming, people running, security rushing forward. Dominic grabbed Ethan and pushed Olivia behind him as more shots rang out. "Get down," he shouted, shielding them with his body. Security returned fire. Glass rained down. Ethan was crying, terrified. Olivia held him tight while Dominic covered them both, and she realized with crystal clarity that the danger had never been theoretical. It was real. It was here. And Dominic had been telling the truth all along. The shooting stopped as suddenly as it started. Security had the gunman down. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Dominic turned to her, his face pale. "Are you hurt? Is Ethan hurt?" We're okay. but her voice was shaking and Ethan was sobbing against her shoulder. Vincent appeared, pushed in a wheelchair by his nurse, looking furious despite his frailty. "Get them inside. Now, full lockdown." They were rushed into the house, into a panic room Vincent apparently had installed years ago. Ethan wouldn't let go of Olivia, and she wouldn't let go of him. Dominic paced like a caged animal, talking rapidly into his phone, coordinating with security and police. When things finally calmed down, when Ethan had exhausted himself crying and fallen asleep on Olivia's lap, Dominic sank down beside them. "I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. You warned me." Her voice was hollow. "You told me there was danger. I just didn't really believe it until now. We'll increase security, move you somewhere safer, whatever it takes." Dominic, she looked at him, this man she just married, this man whose world had just tried to kill them. "I'm terrified." "I know, me too." He reached out and took her free hand. "But we're in this together now, for better or worse, literally." Despite everything, she almost laughed. "Worst wedding day ever." "Definitely top 5 worst." He squeezed her hand. "But we survived, that's what matters." They sat there in the panic room, new husband, new wife, and their son, and Olivia realized that whatever else this marriage was or wasn't, it was real now. The danger had made it real. The fear had made it real. And somewhere in the chaos, she'd stopped questioning whether Dominic would stay and started wondering if they'd all survive long enough for it to matter. The safe house was in the mountains, 2 hours from the city. Modern, isolated, surrounded by security measures Olivia couldn't even identify. Dominic had moved them there the day after the wedding, along with a full security team that rotated shifts outside their door. Ethan thought it was an adventure. "Like camping," he declared, delighted by the big windows overlooking pine trees. He didn't understand why they couldn't go outside alone, why strange men with earpieces followed them everywhere, why Mama kept checking the locks obsessively. Olivia understood too well. Someone had tried to kill them at their wedding. The gunman was in custody, but he wasn't talking, and the people who'd sent him were still out there. "You should eat something," Dominic said, appearing in the doorway of the bedroom she'd claimed as hers. True to their agreement, they had separate rooms, though the house only had 3 bedrooms total. His was across the hall, close enough that she could hear him packing at night. "Not hungry." "You haven't eaten since breakfast yesterday." "I said I'm not hungry." She immediately regretted the sharp tone. None of this was his fault. "Sorry, I'm just terrified, angry, trapped, I know." He came in and sat on the edge of the bed, careful to maintain distance. "For what it's worth, I hate this too." "Do you?" She turned to face him. "Because this is your world, Dominic. Danger and security teams and people shooting at weddings. You're used to it." "I'm not used to my family being targets." His voice was rough. "Seeing that gun aimed at you, at Ethan, that's not something you get used to." "How long do we have to live like this?" "The FBI thinks they'll have the organization dismantled within a month, maybe 6 weeks. And then what? We just go back to normal, pretend none of this happened." "I don't know." He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture she recognized from 4 years ago when he was stressed. "I'm making this up as I go, Olivia. I don't have all the answers." Before she could respond, Ethan appeared in the doorway clutching his stuffed car. "Mama, I had a bad dream." "Come here, baby." She opened her arms and he climbed onto the bed, burrowing into her side. "Want to tell me about it?" "There were loud noises, like at the wedding, and you disappeared." His voice was small. "I couldn't find you." Olivia's chest tightened. The shooting had traumatized him more than he'd let on. "I'm right here, sweetheart. I'm not going anywhere." "Promise." "Promise." Dominic watched them, his expression unreadable. Then he said quietly, "Ethan, can I tell you something?" The boy looked up at his father. "What?" "My job, mine and Mama's job, is to keep you safe. Always. And sometimes that means we have to stay in boring houses in the mountains for a little while. But we're together and that's what matters. Okay. Okay, Ethan yawned. Will you read me a story? Mama's stories are good, but you do better voices. Olivia tried not to feel hurt by that. Dominic glanced at her, asking permission. She nodded. Sure, buddy, let's get you back to bed. Dominic scooped Ethan up easily. What story do you want? The dragon one, the vegetarian dragon. They disappeared down the hall, Ethan's chatter fatting. Olivia lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. This was her life now. Hiding in a safe house, watching her son bond with a father he barely knew, married to a man she'd loved and lost and didn't know if she could love again. Her phone buzzed. Her mother, "How are you holding up, honey?" How was she supposed to answer that? She typed, "We're okay, just adjusting to everything." That man better be worth it, worth uprooting your whole life. Was he? Olivia didn't know yet. She typed back, "He's trying. That's all I can ask right now." Dominic returned 20 minutes later. He's asleep. Took 3 stories and a detailed explanation of how dragons could survive on vegetables alone, but he's out. Thank you. He's my son. You don't have to thank me for taking care of him. He paused in the doorway. Can I ask you something? I guess. Do you regret it? Marrying me? She considered lying, giving him false reassurance, but they'd promised honesty. I don't know yet. Ask me when we're not hiding from people who want to kill us. Fair enough. He started to leave, then turned back. For what it's worth, I don't regret it, even with everything that's happened. Getting to be Ethan's father, getting to see you every day, getting another chance with you, I'd do it all again. After he left, Olivia lay awake for hours, thinking about his words, about the way he looked at Ethan with such wonder and devotion, about the way he still looked at her sometimes when he thought she wasn't watching, like she was something precious he'd lost and miraculously found again. Maybe there was something real here, underneath all the fear and practicality. Maybe. Days blurred together in the safe house. Olivia worked remotely. Dominic handled business via video conference, and Ethan grew increasingly restless. The security team rotated, silent professionals who checked perimeters and monitored cameras and made Olivia feel both protected and imprisoned. A week after the wedding, Vincent's lawyer called. The old man's condition was deteriorating. He wanted to see them, wanted to meet with Ethan one more time. Against the security team's advice, they went. Vincent looked worse than before, his skin gray, his breathing labored. But his eyes lit up when Ethan ran into the room, chattering about the mountains and the security guards and everything he'd seen. My boy, Vincent rasped, reaching out a shaking hand. Ethan took it carefully, suddenly subdued by the old man's frailty. You're going to be strong, stronger than your father, stronger than me. Promise me. I promise, great-grandpa. Ethan's voice was solemn. Good boy. Vincent's eyes found Dominic's. You've got something worth protecting now. Don't waste it. I won't. And you? Vincent turned his sharp gaze on Olivia. Take care of my grandson. Make him better than I was, better than his father was. I'll try. Vincent nodded, satisfied, then waved them away. Go, I'm tired, but I'm glad I got to see this. His eyes closed. A real family, finally. They left him there, attended by nurses and doctors, and Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that it was the last time they'd see him alive. 2 days later, he died in his sleep. The funeral was small, private, with security everywhere. Dominic stood rigid throughout the service, showing no emotion until they were back at the safe house. Then he disappeared into his room for hours. When he finally emerged, his eyes were red. He wasn't a good man, Dominic said, sitting heavily on the couch where Olivia was working. He did terrible things, built his empire on other people's suffering, but he was all I had for so long, and at the end he tried to make it right. He loved you in his way. He loved the idea of redemption more. Dominic leaned back, exhausted. The lawyer read the will. It's official. I inherit everything. Which means Cross Industries is mine, which means we can start dismantling the parts that were involved in criminal activity, which means we're safe. Safer. The FBI arrested 3 more people this week. The organization is falling apart without my grandfather's connections and money, but there are still loose ends, still people who want revenge. He looked at her. I can't promise you'll be completely safe anytime soon, but we're getting there. And then what, when the danger's past? Then we figure out what we're doing. If you want the divorce, if you want to go back to your old life. My old life doesn't exist anymore, Dominic. You made sure of that. I know, and I'm sorry, but I'd do it again to keep you alive. She believed him. That was the terrifying part. She actually believed him. Ethan asked me yesterday when we could go home. I didn't know what to tell him. This is home now, for as long as you'll let it be. I never agreed to that. I know, but I'm hoping you will. He shifted closer, not quite touching her. I know this isn't how you imagined your life. I know I've turned everything upside down. But Olivia, I meant my vows, for better or worse. In sickness and health. I'm all in, even if you're not. I'm here, all right. Physically, but your heart's still holding back, still waiting for me to leave again. He wasn't wrong. She was waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the moment when he'd decide this was too hard and disappear again. Can you blame me? No, but I wish you'd trust me. Trust is earned, Dominic, not given. Then let me earn it. He took her hand and she didn't pull away. Let me show you every day that I'm staying, that this is real, that I love you. You keep saying that you love me. Because it's true. How can you be so sure? We barely know each other anymore. I know you're an incredible mother. I know you're brave and strong and you've built a good life from nothing. I know you still wear the necklace I gave you. I know you check on Ethan 3 times every night. I know you're terrified, but you'd never let him see it. I know. Stop, her voice cracked. You can't just. Can't what? Tell you the truth. That I notice everything about you. That I fall more in love with you every day. He cupped her face with both hands, gentle but firm. I wasted 3 years. I'm not wasting any more time pretending I don't feel what I feel. Dominic. He kissed her. Not the brief, public kiss from their wedding, but a real kiss. Desperate and hungry and full of 3 years of longing. And Olivia, who'd been so careful, so controlled, kissed him back. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she whispered, "This is a bad idea." Probably the worst. He rested his forehead against hers. But I'm willing to risk it if you are. She thought about safety and fear and the careful walls she'd built. Thought about Ethan sleeping down the hall, dreaming of a family that was whole. Thought about her own traitorous heart, which had apparently learned nothing from being broken once before. One chance, she said. You get one more chance, Dominic Cross. Don't make me regret it. I won't, I swear I won't. He kissed her again, and this time she let herself fall. 3 months later, the FBI announced the last major arrests. The criminal organization that had threatened them was dismantled, its leadership in prison, its assets frozen. The danger, while not completely gone, had diminished to the point where they could finally leave the safe house. Moving into the Cross estate felt surreal. Olivia walked through rooms that cost more than she'd earned in years, trying to reconcile this new life with the modest apartment where she'd raised Ethan alone. The staff called her Mrs. Cross. Her son had his own wing of the house. And Dominic. Dominic had kept his word. He'd been patient when she'd pulled back after that kiss, giving her space while making his intentions clear. He'd shown up every morning to have breakfast with Ethan, had learned his son's routines and preferences, had become the father Ethan deserved. And slowly, carefully, he'd earned back pieces of Olivia's trust. "Mama, look." Ethan came running into the library where she was working, Dominic trailing behind with an amused expression. Daddy taught me to swim, in the big pool. Did he now? She smiled at her son's excitement. He stopped calling Dominic weeks ago, had naturally transitioned to Daddy like he'd been waiting his whole life to use the word. He went underwater and everything, Dominic said, pride evident in his voice. Kid's a natural. I'm like a fish, Daddy said so. Ethan demonstrated swimming motions with his arms. Can we swim again tomorrow? If your mama says it's okay. Ethan turned those big dark eyes, so like his father's, on her. Please, mama, please. Of course, baby. Now go wash up for dinner. Ethan raced off, leaving them alone. Dominic moved closer, and Olivia didn't flinch away like she might have months ago. He's happy, she said softly. He is, are you? The question caught her off guard. Was she happy? She'd spent so long in survival mode, working, parenting, just getting through each day that she'd forgotten to check. I think so. It's strange. All of this is strange. But good strange, maybe. Good strange, I'll take it. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, a gesture that had become familiar. Can I take you somewhere tonight, after Ethan's asleep? Where? Somewhere we should have gone 4 years ago. The restaurant was small, intimate, nothing like the elaborate places Olivia assumed wealthy people frequented. Dominic had reserved a corner table, private but not ostentatious. She dressed simply, a blue dress she'd bought for a client meeting months ago, and felt underdressed until she saw how he was looking at her. What? She asked as they sat down. You're beautiful, I don't say it enough. You say it all the time. Then I should say it more. He smiled, that genuine smile that transformed his whole face. I wanted to do this right, take you on an actual date, court you properly. We're already married. Doesn't mean I can't date my wife. He reached across the table and took her hand. Tell me something I don't know about you. After 4 years and a child together, what's left? Everything. What's your favorite color? What did you want to be when you grew up? What's your biggest fear besides losing Ethan? She thought about it. Blue, like ocean blue. I wanted to be an artist but settled for graphic design because it was practical. And my biggest fear, she paused, letting myself be happy, really happy, because I'm terrified it'll be taken away. His hand tightened on hers. I understand that fear. I live with it every day, waiting for the moment you realize you deserve better than me. Dominic, let me finish. I know I've put you through hell. I know this whole situation has been insane and unfair and not what you signed up for. But Olivia, you and Ethan, you're the best thing in my life. The only thing that matters. And I'm going to spend every day proving I'm worth the chance you gave me. You already have been. These past 3 months watching you with Ethan, seeing how hard you're trying, her voice caught. You're a good father, better than I thought you'd be. That's because he makes it easy. He's incredible, and that's all you. You raised an amazing kid. We're raising him now, together. The word hung between them, together. It meant something different now than it had at their hasty wedding. Now it was a choice, not a necessity. Now it was real. They talked through dinner, sharing stories and memories, filling in the gaps of 3 years apart. Dominic told her about witness protection, about the loneliness and fear and how he'd thought about her constantly. Olivia told him about Ethan's birth, about the terror and joy of becoming a mother, about the nights she'd cried from exhaustion and wondered if she'd survive. I wish I'd been there, he said quietly. I wish I'd been there for all of it. You're here now, that's what matters. After dinner, they walked through the city. No security team visible, though Olivia knew they were there somewhere. Dominic held her hand, and it felt natural, like they'd been doing this for years. Can I tell you something? He said as they stopped in front of her old apartment building, the one she'd lived in before everything changed. What? The night I left 4 years ago, I stood outside your door for an hour, just like I did 3 months ago. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to wake you up and tell you everything and beg you to run away with me. But I thought leaving was protecting you. I thought I was doing the right thing. Were you doing the right thing? I don't know anymore. Maybe, maybe not. All I know is that I lost 3 years with you and our son because I was too scared to trust you with the truth. I won't make that mistake again. What are you saying? He stopped and turned to face her fully. I'm saying no more secrets, no more running. Whatever comes, we face it together. For real this time. Not because of some will or some threat, but because I choose you, because I love you, because I want to build a real life with you, not just a safe one. Dominic, you don't have to say it back. I know you're still figuring things out, but I needed you to know where I stand. I'm all in, Olivia, completely, forever. She looked at him, this man who'd broken her heart and come back to repair it, who'd given her a son and 3 years of single motherhood and now a life she couldn't have imagined. I'm scared, she admitted. I know. But I think, she took a breath, I think I'm falling in love with you again, or maybe I never stopped, I don't know. But when I think about the future now, you're in it. You and Ethan and maybe, she trailed off. Maybe what? Maybe more kids someday. Maybe growing old together. Maybe actually being happy instead of just surviving. His smile was brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, but Dominic, if you ever leave again. I won't. Let me finish. If you ever leave again, it'll destroy me, and I won't recover a second time. So you need to be absolutely sure this is what you want, because I'm about to let you all the way in, and there's no going back from that. I'm sure I've never been more sure of anything. He cupped her face in his hands. I love you, Olivia Grant Cross. I loved you 4 years ago. I loved you through 3 years of hell, and I'll love you for the rest of my life. You and Ethan, you're my family, my home, my everything. She kissed him then. They're on the street outside her old building. And it felt like coming home and starting over all at once. When they broke apart, both smiling, she said, "Take me home." The estate. Our home where our son is sleeping, where we're building a life. Yeah, take me home. 6 months later, Olivia stood in the garden where they'd gotten married, watching Ethan chase butterflies with the unself-conscious joy of a 4-year-old. The garden had been completely renovated after the shooting, new windows installed, security upgraded, but Vincent's roses remained. What are you thinking about? Dominic asked, slipping an arm around her waist. How different everything is from a year ago, how scared I was, how I almost said no. I'm glad you didn't. Me too, she leaned into him. Your grandfather would have liked seeing this, seeing us actually happy. He knew, at the end, I think he knew we'd figure it out. Dominic kissed her temple. He wasn't a good man, but he tried to do one good thing, bringing us back together. Even if his methods were manipulative and controlling. Even then, Ethan ran up to them, breathless and laughing. Mama, Daddy, did you see? I almost caught one. I saw, buddy, you were so close. Dominic scooped him up easily. Ethan had grown in the past months, getting taller and losing some of his baby roundness. Want to try again? Yes, but after can we have ice cream, please? Ice cream for dinner, Olivia pretended to consider it. What do you think, Daddy? Is that allowed? I think, Dominic said seriously, that sometimes you need ice cream for dinner, especially on special days. What's special about today? Ethan asked. Olivia and Dominic exchanged glances. They'd been waiting for the right moment to tell him. Well, Olivia said, you know how you've been asking for a little brother or sister. Ethan's eyes went wide. Really, really, really. Really, really. Next spring you're going to be a big brother. Ethan squealed with delight and wriggled to be put down so he could run in circles, shouting about Bobbies and being a big brother. Olivia laughed, her hand unconsciously moving to her still flat stomach. Happy? Dominic asked quietly. Terrified, excited, overwhelmed. She turned to face him. But yes, happy, really, genuinely happy. Good, because I plan to keep you that way for the next 50 or 60 years. Only 50 or 60. Fine, 70, but then we're taking a break. She laughed and kissed him, this man who'd come back after 3 years and turned her careful, controlled life into beautiful chaos. Deal. That night after Ethan was asleep and they were in bed, their bed now, the separate rooms abandoned months ago, Dominic pulled her close. "Thank you," he said into her hair. "For what?" "For giving me a second chance, for letting me be a father, for building this life with me even when you were scared. Thank you for coming back, for fighting for us, for being worth the risk. Always, I'll always be worth it, I promise." And lying there in the darkness, their son asleep down the hall and a new baby growing inside her, Olivia finally let herself believe it. The fear didn't disappear completely. She suspected it never would. But it was manageable now, overshadowed by love and trust and the family they'd built from broken pieces. 3 years ago, Dominic had appeared at her door and turned her world upside down. Now she couldn't imagine her world any other way. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too, forever." Forever, it used to terrify her, that word. Now it felt like a promise she wanted to keep. Outside, the moon rose over the Cross estate. Inside, a family slept, imperfect, complicated, but finally, undeniably real.